Hello, good afternoon to you. You're welcome to She Talk with me, Hadiza Patrick Otara. How was your long, extended weekend? I hope it was fantastic. I hope you had a good time. I hope you rested. Nigerians who don't know what it means to rest. I was shocked to see some people out and about. But it was a really busy weekend, really, because people chose this weekend particularly to have weddings. And I also chose to have a worship service. Anyway, you're welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me on the show for today. Thank you very much. I have a guest joining me today on today's show, and she is a therapist that I think every woman ought to see. She's good at her job. She's very detailed. She is uncompromising, and she will tell you the truth to your face. She's a therapist I would send my child. She's a therapist I would send myself to, and she's doing good work. And so I'm expecting her shortly. We had a little information between us uh, pertaining the show, and she's trying to adjust herself to the new information, and that's why she's not here. So how are you doing? Okay, so today I'm talking about red flags as it concerns marriages. I'm talking about red flags as it concerns getting to the next step. A lot of couples during dating, um, during courtship, no, not courtship, dating particularly, you see red flags and you're like, well, I'm here for the fun, I'm here for the companionship, I'm here for the friendship, I'm here for um, the fact that I don't want to be alone, or that the person meets my needs, whether it's physical needs or it's emotional needs. But you are there for something, and you probably like the way her body is, or his face is, or his friends, or the way he goes out, or he's funny, or he's available. There's so many reasons, variables that happen where we like a person, where we want to stay with a person, and then we get to a place where marriage comes into question. Now, I'm not talking to you ladies who every relationship a week after you start writing your name, Mrs. Blah blah. I'm talking about serious people who take their time to go through a relationship. I've spoken concerning this before. As I said, always make sure that you know where you stand. Make sure you enjoy the relationship first. Have a friendship, then have a relationship, then have a courtship. Let me repeat, have a friendship. Someone comes to you, oh, beautiful lady, I love your skin. Fine, thank you. Stay with that they like your skin. Oh, I love the way you talk. Stay with that. Can I take you to go and eat? Stay with that. Don't assume that this is now your boyfriend. Ladies, we know we are guilty about that. Don't just assume that he's your boyfriend until he has said so. And if he is not the type that communicates, which is a lot of Nigerian men do not communicate, they assume Nigerian women are witches, or that every woman they see wants a relationship. There's some ladies that just want a friendship. They just need a friend in their life. They need someone to talk to. They don't really need someone to be committed to. Truly, I will not hide it. I'm not going to I don't get spiritual on my um programs, because I'm aware that people are different, and I have different people listening to me. So I will tell you, some ladies, very honestly, just need someone to sleep with, someone to meet up their sexual needs. Some ladies just want someone to pick up their bills. Some ladies, they meet you, there's a reason why you're in their life. Either you are the man who pays for their cable, or you're the man who buys provision or something, but there's a place in your life, in their lives, and they just want to be there. So there's some people that are that um, priority place as it concerns men. But a lot more than this number would be concerned about uh is he going to marry me? What state is he from? What tribe is he? What blah? Common things, I call them. Not looking at deeper things. And that's why you find a man who is just there for the fun. He's just there to sleep with you. He would give you every information. In fact, he'll start calling you wifey, make the friends call you wifey, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And so you need to open your eye, whatever you need to do to make sure that you know exactly where you stand. And when he takes over that, I spent the whole year, I spent money. He wasn't there for the fun. You were there for the relationship. He was there for the fun. He was just passing through, and you saw a permanent fixture in your life. So you need to prioritize that. Make sure that, okay, listen, why is this person in my life? If you enjoy the friendship, then you enjoy the courtship. If you the relationship, if you enjoy the relationship, you would enjoy also the courtship, and so on and so forth. Does that equally mean that people who enjoy all of these things end up married to the perfect person? No, it doesn't, because there are people where money, circumstance, problem changes them. Yes, it just brings out the worst of them. The worst of them is amplified based on this. So he may get richer and become a very controlling person, or a very pessimistic person, or gets into drug, bad company, and the rest of it, or starts to sleep around. I've seen pastors, I've seen imams, I've seen all kinds of people change wives. Like, do you understand? So that it's not a guarantee, but at least for you to sit back one day and say, I saw this thing, why didn't I? It's the most painful thing. I do counseling, and I tell you, the most painful thing a woman would come to say to you in counseling, I saw these things, and I saw it. I saw it. It's painful. You would honestly wish you could create a machine to go backward, to change some things. Okay, so the truth of the matter is, you have to enjoy the relationship. I'm not going to talk about the courtship because that's what my guest is here to do. She will talk about those. So I'm talking about just the foundations before which she comes on. You have to know who and what you're getting into. And the first thing is this person my friend? Because when these other things I told you that would change a person in the marriage comes up, your friend will stick. If you get sick, you got cancer, they cut your leg, take out one of your boobs, anything, even lose your eye, or you're crippled, you have an accident, or you never have a child, a friend will be right there. Right there. And that's for both sides, because I've seen men who lost their money, jobs, and the wife is their friend, and they still laugh, they still play. And whenever he says, oh, I'm so sorry, she goes, don't worry. Baby, I've got you. I've got you. I know you'll get up. It's just a matter of time. She may cry her secret tears, but she would always come back to reassure you, because she knows if she cries in front of you, you're going to feel bad. That's the kind of friends you want to end up with. If it's a woman, if you're going through infertility, you're going through lack of job, or something on your job, you are having issues, whatever it is, you've got cancer, they're talking about moving your womb, moving your breast, you've got fibroids, you're always in the hospital, you're having operations, you've got crisis, this guy's going to stand by you and say, you know what, I'm here for the long run. You make sure that you come out of this and be my babe and be there. Let's have fun. The person talks about future, talks about how it's going to end up being. That's what you want. That's what we all desire. And I know, as much as the internet every day picks up one celebrity or one particular story to showcase to us that marriages are bad, there's woeful stories, marriages don't last, people are fraud and everything like that. And I always ask myself, if I broadcast a story about a horrible marriage and it influences 10 people, and the 10 people influence 10 people, how have I made anything good? Let me tell you, I'm not going to apologize to say this. If you are someone who takes stories of bad marriages and you're always flashing it, you're always talking about it, you're always saying, see how men are, see how women are, I'll question the family you come from. That means that you had a really bad, your parents didn't have a good marriage, or you yourself are envious of married people or good marriages, because they're good marriages. Have you ever seen someone who lives in a house that is not leaking, that is shouting outside, it's leaking, my house is leaking, my house is leaking, rain is coming into my house? No. Have you ever seen anybody who lives on a street where there's good drainages and all the dirt, when it rains, all the drainages pass through? Have you ever seen them come and say, our streets, water flows, government come and help us, this is a bad government, bad estate? Anybody who lives in a bad house where it's leaking, they always are shouting outside. Anybody whose drainage is bad and it rains, they're always shouting outside. So if the many that you don't see come out to shout, they're be good. There's no need to shout. So, and I'm not saying this to say if you've had a bad marriage or relationship, you shouldn't talk about it, talk about it. But I'm talking about people who, I don't want to talk about how, find it funny when I see single people put on their post, Every time posting your husband. Um, some marriages are bad, but they're always posting their husband like, but they get husband. Oh, that one I can apologize. But they get husband. The truth of the matter is, you need to know that marriages are good. And in every marriage, there's always a turbulent time, a make or break time. But two people chose to stay and fight it through and make it through. Like terrible, terrible time. Anybody who tells you that, oh, our marriage, we've not had quarrels, we've not had something that came in that was so defining. There's so many things that are being kept secret. There's so many things that one person is shielding the other person is ignoring and hoping that it lasts and be good. Everybody has it. The best of us. It's just like sickness to everybody. It's a way of life. It's a normal thing. Have you not seen a very intelligent person in your class have carryover? So it happens. Well, my guest will shortly be with us, and we'll be talking about the red flags you're going to be looking out before you say I do. I'm not talking about friendship. When you're having a friendship with someone or relationship with someone, it's something the person can correct, the person can learn, the unlearn, sorry, the person can adjust. But once you are about to sign the dotted line, you agreed, you said, he says, I want to marry you, or he says, um, when I marry you, for most men, that's the proposal. When we marry, that's the time for you to pause and take a good look at this person that's offering you forever. This person is promising you the dotted lines, and ask yourself some things. Can you live with this person's personality or some of the things that they do exhibit or they believe in? And these are things that are going to define your relationship, whether you like it or not. As a man thinketh, so he is. As a man thinketh, so he is. If he has an opinion that goes contrary to your belief and your value, if there's anything that he's doing or exhibits or does it once and says, honestly, he didn't even believe he did it, and you need to question everything. You need to question from that moment, begin to question the next 5 years, question the next 1 year, 5 years, and the rest of it. Yes, I can see my guest says she's almost there. All right, so we'll just be waiting. Okay, so now if you think that, okay, I'm going to change this person, you're making a huge mistake. You're making a huge mistake. Nobody can change a person unless they're willing to change. That's the truth. Nobody. And that's one of the reasons why I say one of the red flags should be that if the person is, or the one of the red flags that you can ignore is if the person is willing to change. Okay, so let me give you an instance. I know this couple that came for counseling. Seriously, and they're one of my favorites. So this guy grew up in an environment where a certain way of relationship was being carried out. Very, very traditional. Very, very traditional. And he was pretty worried about it. Let me greet Favor. Hello, Favor H. Otumba. And Kate Monday, how are you doing today? Let me not ignore you guys. You're watching. So let's say thank you very much for watching. And anyone else who is watching. And so this couple really, really, really wonderful couple. But he came from a very traditional background, and men, to the degree of the woman coming back when he comes off, the husband comes off from work. Before the children were older, the woman would kneel down and present food, yeah, in a tray. When the children grew older, they did that. The help didn't do that. The husband would not take it if the house help would come and give him his food. And the wife gave her salary to the husband. Very, very traditional. She didn't speak. If they were talking about, let's say, school, she says, "Oh, this school is nice," and he says, "No, is this one?" She says, "Ah, but Daddy, look at this one." Like if she calls for Father, Daddy, look at that, and then he goes, "I've said he's going to this place, and that's it." Or she says, "I'm going for a wedding," and he says, "No, you're not going." or my sister's wedding, you're not going, and that's it. And she could not express sadness or anything to the contrary, So I'm not talking about someone who got married in my parents' time, who would have been married for 50, let's say 57 years if they were both alive. I'm talking about someone who is barely 30, so his parents are, when did they get married? In the 80s, 80s, 90s. Do you understand? So that makes me feel so old. In the 90s. So I mean, and she's educated, he's educated, but very traditional. So he came for counseling. That traditional part of him, when we began to talk about roles and responsibilities, which is another thing that I enjoy talking about when I meet couples, because it's so funny to realize their background, where they're coming from. This guy said in that class, he said there were things that he had read about in the literature I'd given them to read, and he said he had found out that his perception was different, and that he found himself at some point wondering if this lady was going to be able to submit like his mother was, or he used the word submission. I said, no, that's not submission. To be very honest, that's cultural, and it's just a display. She probably wouldn't feel the same way issue as was an outward thing. So we had this huge discussion, long discussion that went on past the first day of counseling, and eventually he said, I'm willing to change. I want to have a different way to do things. So we had to discuss how it worked for both of them. I wasn't going to carry the ideology from my marriage or from the textbook and give to them. I had to give them a new way of thinking. Now, if you meet a man like that, you've got a good one going, because he's willing to change and to unlearn and learn a new one. Or it's a girl who just believes, I believe we have so many wacky ones, girls. I don't even know which one to choose. But we've got so many things that we're carrying, baggages that we're carrying from our previous relationships, keeping, for instance, your property secrets. So many, so many. One day I should do a show about that. What do you guys think? Okay, so and she's willing to change. She's willing to say, okay, you know what? Okay, so let me see. Okay, this very crazy one. She was getting married at like 32 thereabouts, and she and her sisters had this purse. They always kept money. They did like a contribution end of the year. They they did it for, let's say, if someone was getting married, if something was happening and all that. And she kept it a secret from her husband, to be open. So what happened is we're talking about for family values and all that. And she said, well, she didn't say here because she's been feeling troubled about it, about this money. And I was like, so why wouldn't you even tell him? Was he going to be opposed to it? You were surprised he would want to add to it, which the man was glad to add to it. So, and it was never to be something he could ask her to take money out of, because it was quite a lot of money they had to put together every year. They had actually planned after her wedding, they were going to put together, was it for her wedding, they were going to decorate or renovate her parents' house. And so that was why the money was sitting down. And I told her, as long as some of your finances are not accounted for, and it goes into projects that he's not aware of, you're always going to feel a need to hide even bigger projects and rest of it. Okay. So my guest will be shortly here. Hopefully, I'm going to get her here. Okay. All right, she would surely be here. All right, so as a person getting married, the person says, believe me, that's how we do things. That's how my father behaved. You have to question that relationship. You have to question some of the things that the person is doing, some of the things that are going on. You have to question some of the actions or inactions of a person in a relationship, because the person is speaking, yet they're not doing, or they're doing and they're not speaking. If it's overwhelming that you cannot tell where the person stands, then these are red flags. Let me know some of the red flags that you have experienced in the comments, and let's talk about it. And let me know if you believe that a person can change after marriage. A person can shed off some of their habits or some of the things that you, find very, very unaccommodating if you think that it's possible for someone to change like that and before after getting married, do you believe, please leave the comments, let's have a discussion, do you believe that a person can change after getting married, that a marriage is going to change them, or you have the capacity to change their character flaw, or you have a capacity to change their values or the way they think or reason about things? Do you think that it's possible? Leave a comment. Let's talk about what you believe is possible or not possible. Okay, so let me see if my guest is here. She should be here. All right, she should shortly be here. Don't worry. I know she's like panicking. So, do you believe that any person can change the way they reason out things? Do you believe that a person can change their if someone slaps you if you're getting married, do you believe that they're going to change? I've heard crazy things like being slapped on wedding day before wedding, you get, and the person signs the dotted line. It's hard. It's difficult to actually say I'm not going to do after you've invited everybody. Everybody's come from your village. The storytellers have come to tell the stories to get your story, so they go tell in the village. And then you say you're not getting married. That'll be very awkward. That'll be very, very awkward. Honestly, how? But if you realize that it's going to be the same people or persons, they're going to take your story back to the village when you do get divorced, and they will tell about how after all that big wedding, eh? So he used to beat her up and all that, and you realize that it's still going to be the same people. So just give the story once and get it over and done with. That's my take, honestly. Just give them the story one time and let's get it over and done with. And you save yourself some mental torment and trauma after the abuse. Because every person who goes through an abusive relationship, even if it were not physical, if it was emotional, are left traumatized. So you're left with some sort of trauma, as it gets as the days go by, as you think about your choices you made to get to be with this person or to end up with this person, you're going to question your own inability, your inability to make a good judgment when it comes to relationship. So, in as much as I would say give people a chance, there's some things you can't compromise on, and they're very subtle and simple things. Let me tell you, do you know you can even live with a bad mother-in-law as long as you don't live in the same house? But when it comes to something that a person you're going to be on the same bed with exhibits, it's going to be pretty hard for you to live with that. I believe honestly that I can live with people externally, but when someone is in such close quarters with me, it's really going to be very difficult to live with that kind of person. What do you think? Leave a comment. Let's have a discussion before my guest comes in. She's honestly going to be here any moment, and you're going to love listening to her. You're going to enjoy listening to her. She's a therapist to the. She's very thorough. She's, oh my god, person. And you better book her on time because sometimes she gets overbooked and so boy, you need to book her. And from wherever you are listening in the world, in the world, she would do a very good therapy session with you because I have recommended people who are not leaving the country. She's done a very, very good job with them. So you can call her or send her a message on the Facebook app. Her name is Naomi Shaibu Dadi, and you can connect with her and have a session with her. So Naomi will soon be here, and I'm so glad that I have her coming on to the show today to talk about the red flags the we keep ignoring in every relationship. It's like we cannot. I mean, we function very well, but you see someone who is already all over the place, and you still want to jump into the opportunity. I think is a sad thing to do, but we women just believe we're saviors. Like we can save a man from his bad habits or from his flaws or from his everybody's flawed. I don't know. I don't like using flaws. We're all flawed. We all are flawed. All of us. No perfect person. Any perfect person is dead. But we are flawed, no matter who it is. So someone with their, let me use character flaw or manners or values. They have whacked values, and you know you're going to get into trouble with that. This person consistently borrows or does odd things, and you're wondering, is this person insane? And yet you're thinking of marrying the person. We would have to check your head, your brain needs to be checked. Because if you already can see something that's going to full bloom, I say this every time. Let me say it here. Any man that disrespects you before getting married, any woman that disrespects getting married is going to do it and says when you get married. There's this see finish in marriage, eh? It's not like, I don't know, because I'm a Nigerian. Well, I can use the word see finish because see finish can be loose. But there's something about knowing the person, like you own the person, or that this person is now mine, that is almost like a slave master mentality. And it's on both sides. It's not just the men who carry this out. Even women do that. There's an obsession. You see a lady, she sees you other girls, she wants to sit in the corner like good girl, like when you finish, then come back. If you ask her, say, well, so it's me, he's with, let me just leave it. Like, the moment you get married, he can't keep his phone, he can't have friends, he can't hang out, she's over there, she's fighting, she's there, she's this, she's that. That's, you saw him like that and you took it, and he just assumed that you were okay being one of the numbers, and so it goes on. But it's not the same thing, okay? It's not the same. So you are not going to believe yourself when one day you sit back and you are trying to look at how you ended up with this narcissistic person and realize, oh my God, he had actually done this. He actually, oh my goodness, he carried this thing. He said this. He made me do this. Why didn't I see this? Do you understand? So it's better you do the analysis now. Sit down and do the analysis right now by yourself. Check out the boxes. See what works for you. I always recommend this. I did this myself 24 years ago. Have a list of what you want in a person. Men and women, have a list. Be very realistic. Don't make a list of someone else's husband. Don't make a list of your father. Don't make a list of character of your friend's husband. Don't make a list of imaginary non-form people. Imagine yourself if someone was to live with you. You know, we all know ourselves, and we only want to tell ourselves the truth. So, all right. So my guest should be here. All right, I'm waiting. All right, so she said she's on, so she'll shortly be here. You know it, and she gets know who would live with you. Write things like he will tolerate, he'll be mild tempered. He'll be, because you know you have a temper. If you know you're mild tempered, better write you have a good temper. Because if both of you are mild tempered, opposite attracts. I don't believe in the law of attraction that says the same. When we get married, she might be more like you. It's a lie. Opposite attracts. So write out what you need. Who can take that thing about you? You know you're a lousy cook. Better marry a man who can cook. You know, as a man, you're untidy. Better marry a woman who is tidy. True. So, and it's always good to know that the opposites always attract. Okay, so I'm hoping she should be on right now. She should come. Yep, here she is. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Hi.
Hi. Good afternoon.
My apologies.
No problem. It's fine.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's
Thank you
fine,
very
ma'am.
much for turning around and still making it.
Thank you. So good
Sorry,
to
you
see
look
you.
so lovely.
Thank you, ma'am. I too. You're looking rested. Your hair is always beautiful. Just gather all
Thank
those
you very
hairs
much.
for me. I need them.
To God be the glory, the person who invented wig. I would forever be grateful to God for that.
Wigs, jeans, and sneakers. God,
I'm
they
like,
will
oh
make
my
heaven.
God, how did you know that?
But the person that invented bra, I don't think that person will make heaven.
No, that person did me wrong. That person did me wrong.
Oh my God.
You understand? Honestly, you understand this thing.
Yes.
See, right now, I go to church with two things of these four you've called. I go to church with a wig and I go with sneakers. I bought sneakers in shiny colors. I don't wear heels to church anymore. Even
For
when I'm
what
going to
now?
wedding, I've stopped sewing traditionals. Or if you invite me for a wedding, I'll sew that gown into a dinner gown so I can wear a pair of
Uh-huh.
sneakers.
Your
Uh,
sneakers, of course,
Comfort
of course.
first.
And thank God fashion has evolved. We're no longer doing the rapper thing.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to suffer myself anymore. And it allows me to dance better. I mean, we'll be dancing and then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, my leg is hurting. And then I turn to the senior
Yeah.
babe, please, we've done that. You're welcome. So
Thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
coming. I was just
Thank you.
doing the preamble before I came along, talking about the fact that
Okay.
people, I said, people, you can take a person's bad character or the red flags or things that you know very questionable in relationship, in friendship. But once you
Yeah.
start to court and you know you're about to sign the dotted line, you've got to do a sit down and do some assessments and
Yeah,
find
sure.
out for yourself, what can I live with in the next 5 years, 10 years? Can I continue to condone this behavior or his
Mhm.
belief or his sense or his or her sense of responsibility? Can I condone it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
the defining moment. That is the defining moment. I remember when I was getting married, my uncle, day before my wedding, actually sat me down and said, "We know tomorrow is the wedding. They've just brought their things. They're dancing outside. You know, we can call them back to collect back their things, right?"
Uh-huh.
My uncle said, "If there's something you don't like about him, something you know, 5 to 10 years from now, he'll be
Mm.
calling us to settle matter and to separate this marriage. I'm begging you, let us call them to
Say
come
it
and
now.
collect it.
Mm.
Let's escort it to your church and tell them the marriage is cancelled." He
Mm.
said it's better for them to carry the bad news that they didn't get married than for the bad news of
Yeah.
you getting divorced to come through. And I thought
Yeah.
that was profound. And when I said to him, I was, there was okay, I was okay and everything. He said, but don't forget, if he displays any of these things, you see this person, because in my tradition they give you like a godfather at your wedding.
Mm. Okay.
Doing your traditional, yes, they give you a godfather for doing your traditional wedding. So he would usually be a family friend, very close family friend, that
Okay.
is trusted, that is assumed to have a good marriage, and they'll hand
Mm.
you over to him and say, so that the family doesn't come into, family listen one-sided, listen to you. They'll
Mm.
say, so that there's somebody who is open-minded, you can go and
Mm.
complain to them, and they, so that's the way we do it in my tradition. So let me ask you, what are one of the fundamental red flags women and men to be looking out for before they say, I do?
Mm. Thank you again for having me here. It's always a pleasure being on your show. Um, when I saw the topic red flags, I was like, okay, now she has to go to the roots of the problem, not just talk to couples again. We really have to
Yes,
attend to the singles so that they don't make those mistakes. So
yes.
basically, there are so many red flags that individuals exhibit. And
Mhm,
one of them is um, manipulation. And this is very common, it's very broad. Manipulation in
mm,
the sense that you're trying to control the person's time, you're trying to control the person's phone, you're trying to control, basically take control of the person. Some
mm,
manipulators are quite subtle, some are not as outspoken as others. A lot of them just say nice things. It even sounds like at some point like they're commending you, but they're not.
mm,
They're actually making you feel less of yourself. You don't even know when they're taking over your emotions until you have
yeah,
done their bidding, you have done what they want you to do. Then you now realize that, oh, I was being manipulated, or this doesn't feel right. Another with a lot of singles I have noticed is saying one thing and not doing. A lot of
Yeah.
people say one thing and then they go do another thing. So you cannot hold this person by their words. They tell you, oh, a meeting came up, something came up, I had to go somewhere as soon as possible. Okay, if you had to make changes in your plans, why aren't you carrying your partner along? Why don't you call and say, hey, babe, you know what? Something came up. I have to cancel. I'm sorry. And if you notice these things come up very often, you might just want to say, okay, this person, this is just the same, the way this person is, and I'm not ready to go down the 9 yards with this person. But most ladies especially want to say, oh, I've spent XYZ number of years with him. I need to just carry on. What will my family say? What will the church say? What will people say? So they just swallow it and then decide that, okay, I would manage, I will swallow it, I would change him, I can make it better, right? When you notice that a person doesn't stick to their words, they tell you A and they're doing B or C or D, you should really look out for that. That is a red flag. Then when somebody is being very secretive, these days with technology has made, it's a blessing and it's a curse, honestly. I always tell people I counsel, I always tell them that nothing is absolute. There's absolutely no bad person and there's absolutely no good person. We have a bit of this and we have a bit of that. Yeah. So you can't say this person is 100% bad. There must be something about this bad person that is good, even if it's 1%. All right. So when a person keeps hiding their phone, they don't want you to know their PIN, they don't want you to know who they are talking to. When they are on the phone with a certain person, you see them stand up, go out. They are doing so many things on a hush level, right? You want to be very careful with that flag. You want to really put your finger on that and really know what's going on back there. Okay. Then another red flag is not being able to own up to responsibilities. And this comes to a point in many relationships. In fact, many ladies don't even know that this is a problem in their marriage. When you are no longer a spouse and you become a parent, you parent your spouse. Yes, you parent your spouse. You tell him, this shirt is not good enough, go and change it. Okay, this shoe is not good enough, go and change this. And the person cannot even take responsibility of himself. But you feel that, oh, all men, we grew up with this notion that all men are babies. They are your first baby. It's very wrong. It is very, very wrong. And they actually live in this comfortable zone that, oh, I'm a baby. She's going to take care of me. She's going to nurture me. Our mothers and our fathers back in the day didn't do justice to us by telling their sons that, oh, you need to get a wife and settle down. It doesn't work that way. You need to settle down and get a wife. You don't get a wife and settle down. You settle down first, then get the wife. All right. So a lot of people believe that, okay, babying him is a good sign. But he cannot even clean his shoes. He can't tie his shoes properly. He can't cook. He can't even buy groceries. He cannot even take a list. He doesn't even remember the things you tell him. He has absolutely, or she has no responsibility of herself or himself. That is a major flag. You're going to baby that person for the rest of your life. So if you have a spouse or you have a partner, you are intending to get married, you are in a relationship, whatever, and you are feeling that, okay, these things are coming up, you might want to go the extra yard and see a therapist or see a counselor and have an unbiased conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so for people who, for instance, is a thing of value, how can value be a red flag?
Value, when somebody doesn't place value on you, or when somebody puts too much value on you.
No. I'm talking about sorry, let me use values, not value. The principles they live by.
Okay.
Some people believe in dishonesty. Some people believe in a woman. For instance, let's use that for instance, where I don't know why this thing keeps going on. Where a person, his mother has told him a woman mothers you, and he believes and stands by that. Or a woman, what I say goes in this house, nobody has an opinion. I give an example before you came along. There was a young couple that came to me, and the guy grew up in a very traditional home. And surprisingly, very educated parents, and the father was yes and amen. Whatever he said went. You didn't change it. And this boy grew up with that thinking. He was barely 30 and the first child. And so he grew up with this, the value for a woman is whatever a man says goes. The mother is even give her, the father her salary and all that. And so if you meet someone with that kind of value, do you think, and the person not willing to change, the good thing about this young man was that he was willing to change. In fact, he was one who kept saying, Ma, I want to have a modern marriage. I want to know how to be a modern man to have a modern marriage.
Yeah.
You know. But there are some young men that see it as a controlling factor. They see it as a sign of authority. They see it as part of being a husband. Because, you know, we don't teach our sons how to be husbands. We teach the girls how to be wives. We never teach our sons how to be husbands. And so whatever he sees going on is what he just speaks and just about it. Should a young lady think she can change a man's values in a relation when they get married?
So you're absolutely right. You're right. We don't teach our sons values. We don't teach them how to be husbands. We teach them how to be men, right? Without the emotions being attached. So we teach them, okay, live, be nice, but detach your emotions. I don't know how to put that in the correct way, but don't get your emotions into the mix. Keep your emotions aside. Unfortunately, so many men are victims. I want to say victims because they are not aware of the parenting and the backgrounds in which they grew up in.
Yes.
Now, I like to use school, for instance. I like to say, okay, you went to school and you learned chemistry, you learned biology, you learned physics, you learned so many things. How did you know that this was not good for you at some point? Oh, I wasn't good in chemistry. Oh, I wasn't good in mathematics. Oh, I wasn't good in biology. I prefer arts. So if you have that capacity to know that this is not right for me, then you should also have that capacity to know that what I'm doing to this person is wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of people just choose. I always tell my staff and every other person that comes across with me, I tell them that there's nothing like excuse in life. We have no excuse whatsoever. We only have choices. We choose what we are comfortable with. We choose what goes down well with us, what is suitable for us. There's nothing like excuses, really. If for instance I decide to give you an excuse, I wasn't going to come to your show, or I wasn't going, if something came up along the way, like I had another event, I chose that event over you. It's not an excuse. All right. So we have choices. So for a person to maltreat another person or to put another person down, it was his choice or it was her choice. That person is not a dummy. That person is not a puppet. You made that choice to be that person. You made that choice to live that lifestyle. You made that choice not to evolve into the person that you could be. Okay, so you're comfortable with who you are. You chose to be that person. I think if a lot of people, singles and married, could own up to the monsters they are facing, if they could own up and say, oh, I have this problem, I'm going through this, I see myself becoming like my father, then we would have half of our problems solved when it comes to counseling. But to get them to that point of ownership of their self, of their problem, is the problem. Okay, so I think many times they just make the choice. It's a choice that they make, and the same way they chose it, that same way they can unchoose it and dump it.
For me, the last question and the most important one is communication. How important is it to look out for communication, red flags in communication?
How important is it
to look out for red flags when it comes to communication? This to me is the most important.
It's the most important, and it is the broadest, because everything hinges on communication, verbal or non-verbal.
True.
Even if you are going to be intimate with your partner, it's a form of communication. There are couples that don't need to even say a word. You just know that, oh, it's time to be intimate.
Yes.
You don't have to talk. You just know the body language is saying something, right? So communication is the bloodline and the life of every relationship, whether it's marital, whether it's work related, whether it's family, whatever relationship a person is in. And of course, all of us are in a relationship one way or the other. Communication is the lifeline and the blood of that relationship. Now, manipulation in communication. The first one I would say is gaslighting. Kai, that one is for me. It's I am so sensitive when gaslighters are gaslighting. Like, you just got gaslighted, girl. Yeah, they're like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, okay, take it this way. Look at it this way. And they're like, oh, okay. So there are some people that are so good when it comes to gaslighting others. It looks like
True.
it looks like it's an encouragement, sort of. It looks like it's an affirmation, sort of. But if you look
Yes.
closely at it, that person just brought you down. That person just told you that you are worth nothing. I
Yes.
had a boss that I worked for, and this person actually he is a pastor in one of the churches. And he told me, okay, because I had to leave my kids home and then go to work, and then he told me that is being an irresponsible mom. And I'm like,
Really?
okay, so which would I choose? Leaving the kids or staying with the kids and over the job? What exactly am I supposed to do? And then he's now brought up an empathetic story of himself or not having kids and all that. And why would I leave my own kids? And so he was trying to make me feel bad for him to feel good.
Can you
And I'm like,
imagine?
I wouldn't. And I'm so glad I left the job. I'm so glad I left it, because I don't see why you would be so into my business and talk about me. And do you know, he kept talking about that situation over and over and over again. And he felt that, okay, because I was leaving my kids at home, I was not giving enough attention to my job.
Yes.
So everything I did was hinged on the fact that, oh, you have to close early. You have to, as a manager, you have to close early because you left your kids at home. Every time if I have to attend a function at my kids' school, I have to think 100 times how I'll tell him I have to attend a function at my kids' school. So I didn't feel comfortable.
Oh,
Honestly,
yeah.
it was traumatic for me. I just didn't feel comfortable, and I just let it go.
Imagine if you were in a relationship or about to marry someone who does that to you
To
constantly.
you, constantly. And this is somebody that, and after he did it, he realized he had said something wrong, but his ego would not let him say, I'm sorry. I think I
Yeah.
said some things to you yesterday. He came up the next day and said, hope you didn't feel bad about what I said yesterday to you. I told him straight. I said I felt bad. And the me before would have resigned. I would have tendered my resignation before close of work yesterday, but I decided to let it go. I wanted him to understand that I knew what he did, and he cannot put me down. I chose to remain on the job until whenever it was comfortable for me to leave. So he
Yes.
felt like, oh, okay, she knows, she's getting to me, she knows what I'm doing. And then he started working very carefully with me. Our relationship got strained, and at some point we just had to kiss it goodbye. Yeah. So gaslighting is one of the biggest forms of is the biggest red flag when it comes to communication in relationship. Gaslighting.
Someone will say, men don't talk. Men don't talk. So they
It's
have
a notion.
misunderstanding.
It's a notion. It's an insinuation.
So, so they have misunderstanding, and then they go, he doesn't talk. Then he seizes all the keys, or he doesn't eat. He sleeps. He doesn't sleep in the house. And these are
Manipulation.
not, how important is it to take note of this? And what would you give an example to any woman out there? What would be the escalating, or even a woman? The man has a woman in his life. Anytime she's acting, he breaks stuff, doesn't talk to you, she goes to without talking to you, she gets up, she goes, you don't know where
Yeah.
she is, picks up her phone, and you say, she doesn't talk. Or she says, I don't like talking, I don't like quarrel, I don't like talking. How red flaggy is this?
Okay, so stonewalling in relationship is another form of communication or miscommunication in communication. When somebody says something to you and then you decide to stonewall the person, you are not accessible, your emotions are not being read, you are looking as white as this wall behind and looking as black as the under of my pot right behind the white wall. You are looking so, your heart is so black, and then you have this straight face like nothing is happening. Your partner cannot read you. He cannot say, okay, this is what's wrong with you, this is what's going on with you. Those people are one of the most dangerous people, because you can't tell when they are happy, you can't tell when they are sad. When you're expecting them to be sad, they are smiling. They are emotional vampires. They drain life out of you. You know, you have to work so hard, put in so much energy to get them to get on the same frequency with you. And for me, you a person can, a person may not be able to go the long journey with this kind of persons, because at the end of the day you get tired. Like I mentioned, they are emotional vampires. They will drain life out of you. At some point you will lose your very essence trying to fit in, trying to please the set of people, and still you will not matter to anybody. So the best thing to do, if you really love that person, of course, which you do, is to get them to therapy. Many times, most issues in a person's life, most things that they exhibit is as a result of trauma. I have a couple, an intending couple that I'm counseling currently, and the lady is this way. She's angry as little as, oh, you did not help me lose my hair. She locks up. Oh, that's all. Oh, you did not help me to you didn't collect the bags when I came back. She will lock up for 5 days. She will lock up for 7 days. She'll be so straight. And the guy will be like, what did I do wrong? She said, I don't want to see you. Pack your things, get out of my house. Don't ever call me. And she'll be the next person to call him. Okay, so he's like, where am I? It feels like we're going forward, but we're not going forward. You know, I told him straight, I said, see, if you can continue with this kind of emotion for the rest of your life, and I mean for the rest of your life, then you guys will need to go through therapy. Otherwise, it's as good as just letting her go. And letting a person go is not being mean, or is not being negative, or is not a bad omen right now. Letting a person go in relationship, it's not. Letting a person go in relationship shows that you care about yourself, and you care about this person enough to let them go and find help. You have acknowledged that they are not okay and they need some help, as much as you need your own peace, and you know that you need it absolutely. So if you are in a relationship or in a marriage and you have this kind of emotional vampire, please let the person go, or go for therapy along with the person. Honestly, I'm already even drained talking about them. All right.
So Pauline asks, hi Pauline, and Stephanie, how are you? She says, please, what is guy ghosting? Abi gaslighting? All right, so simple explanation about gaslighting is this. Let me give you an example. So you walk up to me, and you go like, this your fat, it's too much. Then I go like, why would you? Didn't you see my lovely dress? No, it's for your own good. It's for your health. I mean it for your health. I mean it for, so that you used to be so slim. Do you understand? You know already. You sent the message in my head. You are too fat. Then now you want to put it by saying, oh, it's for your own good. Try to be nice over it. For instance, someone walks up to you and says, you're always in the Oga's office. Like, what? We're talking. It's work now. I know now. It's just that you hardly have time for the rest of us. It's not how you are treating it. That is the advice. Nobody told that there's something you are doing wrong, or something wrong with you. Then immediately they say, no. Honestly, it's for your own good. It's honestly, it was instantly. But they know what they're doing. They came with a message and they sent it first to you, and they know they've abused you or they've traumatized you, and then they're going to sidetrack. And in fact, if anybody should meet them, or assuming you go where you tell someone comes to meet them, they'll be like, I swear, I just said it for. In fact, I was saying, but they know they set you up. They've spoiled your mood for the day, or they've made you second guess your decision or whatever it is you are doing. That's gaslight. Yeah.
And
Maybe
many times they
yeah,
make you take responsibility for what they said
in
wrong.
fact, they make you believe that it's just you who is thinking this thing was a bad thing.
Yeah, something is you're
Yeah.
messy. You're just some you're messed up upstairs. Something
Oh
is wrong with
my
you upstairs.
God.
Yes,
I,
yes, yes.
In short, I remember this particular case that happened. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. This
Yeah.
very good friend of mine just started keeping malice with me. Like she'd done it over the years. Just
Mhm.
no, I can't call her a good friend. She's just a friend. Would keep malice with me every interval, and then this time around she did. I was not in the country. I was going around my thing, traveling my usual travel, and then she meets my husband and says that she doesn't understand why I'm keeping malice with her, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't understand why I'm withdrawn from her. I mean, starts to
Can you
cry.
imagine?
My
Wow.
husband says, okay, let's. My husband says, don't cry, please. Come to the house. She goes, oh, no, she can't come to us. Come to the house. After all, you've not even been to this present house, right? So come. So I get
Mm-hmm.
back, my husband tells me, and I said, okay, no problem. We sit down. And at that point, I was married for like, let's say 19 years or 20.
Wow.
So she goes, listen to this explanation. That she told him what she told him because she noticed that I stayed away from her from when I got married, 19 years or 20 years later, from when I got
Wow.
married. And that because when I got married, I made friends, I made married friends, and I ignored her. And my husband just said, stop, 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 stop. If it's my wife you're talking about, my wife is the person who will go with you till she goes with one person till you mess up, then she says, my
Yeah.
friend, let me count her friends. I can count her friends on my hand. I don't believe you. In
Hmm.
short, if my husband just counted everything, then immediately she goes into, no, it's not like that. You know, I've always loved her. And I think it's her. She just looks at me that maybe, yeah, maybe. I knew she was gaslighting me. I knew she was gaslighting
Oh
me.
my God. Wow. Wow. Could you be quiet?
This is my sincere apology. The network just went out. Honestly, I do apologize for those of you who are listening. But it was actually at the end of our show. Let me read what Pauline had written. I'm reading Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And one of the things that he said was that when he wanted to get married, he listed all the things he wanted from his wife, down to texture of her hair. And then he asked himself, will this kind of person want to marry me? The answer was no. So he then took the time to make himself into the kind of person that will attract and keep his ideal woman. Years later, he came across the journal and he said he got what he wanted in his wife, down, I guess, to the hair and everything. I think that's amazing. I think that's simply amazing, honestly. I think if you're able to make yourself into what your ideal woman would want, it's a bonus. It's a bonus versus starting afresh from when you've got what you want, where you're not who she wants. I think that's a bonus. I think that will work very well. So if you're planning to get married and you already have said yes and all that, I would advise you have a good sit down with yourself and assess the situation. Assess moving forward. Is this the kind of person I can last with? Would my character be able to adapt to this person continually for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and so on and so forth? And if you find yourself questioning it, then you need to make some adjustments. I always say this: we usually go for counseling for the other person to know how to live with us versus you go for yours. Okay, so Naomi, I think is back. Naomi, please forgive me. My network just went out on me.
No problem. I've been trying to
Yeah.
get back myself.
Did you see the writing from Naomi from Pauline?
Yes, I
Says,
was actually reading
yes.
that.
So, care to comment on it?
I didn't get the full gist. I when I saw you were live, I had to go back and
Okay,
try
let
to
me
get
read
back
it.
in. Okay. All right.
He said, I've been reading Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And one of the things he said was that when he wanted to get married, he listed all the things he wanted in his wife, down to the texture of her
Mhm.
hair. And then asked himself, will this kind of person want to marry me? The answer was no. So he took the time to make himself into the kind of person that would attract and keep his ideal woman. Years later, he came across the journal and he said he got what he wanted in his wife, down to I guess, the hair. So, do you think that's an ideal way also to look out for the partner and to also be able to avoid red flags? Because you could be the one with the red flag, You're looking for red flags in the other person, but you are the one also who has the red flag.
True. Really true. Absolutely. So far my journey as being a therapist has taken me across so many borders, and there's a part of therapy that goes spiritual, right? And when I delved into spiritual therapy, I realized that many times the things that we are right now and the people we are with right now, at some point in our lives when our energy was at that frequency, we actually attracted them into our lives. Okay, so
Mm.
I did the same thing that he did. I wrote everything I wanted in a husband. I wrote everything. The only thing I didn't write was tribe. I wasn't particular about the tribe. So I
I
didn't
wrote the
like
tribe. I wrote the tribe,
I
but
didn't
I
like
ended
the
up not
tribe.
buying.
I
I
I, I
ended up
didn't
not getting that one. I didn't get it.
okay. Okay.
I
I
know
attracted a tribe that I didn't like.
I particularly wrote, please Lord, make sure I don't marry this particular tribe. I know I didn't marry the first that tribe.
Oh my
It's the
God.
tribe I wanted to get married to. In short, the tribe I got married to is closer to the tribe I said I don't want.
Same
But I
thing
wrote
I got.
everything.
That's the same thing I got.
Yeah.
So you agree with me that whatever we wish not to have, because we have our attention actually on what we do not want to have, we attract. And
Yeah.
when you think about the things that you want to have, you attract. So it's
Mhm.
more of the universe does not know. No, it just knows that you are wishing something. And you can wish negative, you can wish positive. So I've gotten to that point where I told myself, oh, the position I am in right now, where I am right now, I wished for it. I've always never wanted to do an 8 to 5 job. And every 8 to 5 job I took, I messed up. Okay. Yeah. And I'm so comfortable and happy not doing an 8 to 5 job. All right. True. So whatever you wish for yourself, whether it's your career, a man, a woman, whatever it is, whether you are not thinking about it, oh God, I don't want this person to call me, you realize that that person will call you. Yes. It always happens. I don't want these people to follow me. I don't want this to happen. It will happen because you are thinking about it. Your energy is resonating within that frequency. So you will attract it, negative or positive. So it happens actually. And I'm actually, sorry to digress a little bit. I'm actually about hosting a conference for singles on attracting your desires. I want to teach people how to attract what they need in men, in women. Most times, many marriages are going wrong because we're attracting the wrong people. You don't want a man like your dad. You find out you're marrying somebody like your dad. You don't want a woman like your mom. You're marrying your mother. Because your energy is towards that person. Whether you like the person or you don't like the person, you're attracting that person to yourself. So I think we need to correct all of that when it comes to attraction.
So true. I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I've taken much more than the time I usually would take on guests.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you for coming to the show.
Thank you.
If you're out there and you need to talk to a therapist, like I said, I would send myself to her. I will send my precious kids to her. So feel free to speak with her. She is grounded and she knows what she's talking about. And let me tell you, she's sound. She is really sound. I know a lot of therapists, but I vouch for this lady. She's really good at what she does. First, and I can tell you that. So please get in touch with her and please pay her fees. If you are abroad, she takes money in foreign currencies too. Like I told you, she knows what she's doing. So and she's got a real organized system of counseling and therapy that you cannot miss out on some of the things that sometimes in therapy things are missing out. If you want a counselor, I would say to you, come to me. But if you need a therapist, there is your girl. This is the person. So Pauline says, thank you, Hadiza, for this awesome topic. Thank you, Naomi, for everything. I learned a lot. Justina Okore says, so in other words, we should be careful of what our minds, what is on our minds. We will certainly attract what we think. Exactly. I was watching a video last week with Oprah Winfrey. You know how when she was on TV, she used to bring fantastic guests. So she brought a man who was teaching about mind over matter, who was teaching about how your mind attracts whatever it is you have today. Your mind attracted it. So your greatest fear, your mind brought it to you. Your greatest dislike, your mind brings it to you. And he made her hold a thread with a like a pen, a penny with a hole in it close to her. And then he says to her, she needs to, oh my goodness, okay. So he said to her, she should think of the thing, the pendulum actually. She think of it going back and forth. The camera could see her hand holding it very tight. Once she thought about it, the pendulum went up and down. If it was up sideways, it went sideways. However she thought, that thing happened. He said, if this pendulum can do this, imagine what happens to whatever you dream and desire. And so today I'm challenging you, whatever you dream and desire would come to you. But when we're getting married, be careful what you allow, permit into your life as a long-term thing. Eventually with people with children, if that man is a bad man, he stays there forever. If that woman is a bad woman, she stays there forever. Let's make the best choices when it comes to marriage and relationships. Naomi, thank you for joining me, and for all of you, Justina, I'll send you her contact. Naomi, thank you very much for joining me. And have a fantastic day. Everyone, thank you very much for joining me on She Talk for today. Let's meet together tomorrow for DNA show. God bless you and have a fantastic day. Bye.